Idea Coaches here. We're on the weight classes for UFC 163, headlined by the featherweight championship, having the challenger, the Korean Zombie Chang Sung-jung versus the champion Jose Aldo. I'll be reviewing that and also the co-main event with Lyoto Machida versus Phil Davis. Before I get into all those things, I'd like to talk about some smaller fights that are taking place on this card. On the preliminary card, I feel that Ian McCall, with all the different things going on in his life, pertaining with him and his marriage or soon-to-be ended marriage, may affect him mentally, especially going to a different time zone and having to deal with all the different changes of being in Brazil. So don't be surprised if he takes a loss here. I feel Anthony Prahphet is just a little bit too old to keep up with Vinny. And don't be surprised if Tom Watson beats Talis Latus. So those are my picks for the smaller fights. Let's get into it. Lightweight co-main event. Lyoto Machida versus Phil Davis. It's strange what perception can do for a fighter. After mauling the current number one contender Alexander Gustafsson, Phil Davis is a wrestling standout that only has one loss in his career to a more seasoned, faster, leaner version of himself in Rashad Evans. Davis by all means is a one-dimensional fighter. Yes, Phil has a couple of submission feathers in his cap, but it all comes from his outstanding top control wrestling. He's not scared to go to the ground even with high-level black belts such as Vinny Morales. His striking is just combos to get the fight to the ground, and unfortunately, Davis is fighting a man that has the skills to keep the fight on the feet, seemingly regardless of his opponent's wrestling pedigree in Lyoto Machida. That judo sumo background has paid off in spades against fighters such as Tito Ortiz, Ryan Bader, Dan Henderson, Randy Couture, and Rashad Evans. John Jones and Rampage did defeat the Dragon, but taking him to the ground was not the route that they took. I feel sad for Phil Davis. A light heavyweight with a great record and a number of finishes will go by the wayside due to poor matchmaking, the same vein as Akiyama and Uzumar Paraharis. Fighting Lyoto Machida after Vinny is just bad for his career, and it's just a strange difficulty spike, almost like a poorly constructed video game. With the amount of finishes that Machida has against wrestlers, this could change Phil Davis' career forever. Featherweight championship bout. The challenger, Chang Sung-jung, versus the champion, Jose Aldo. With 4 title fights in 2 years and 4 months, Jose Aldo's not really the fighter that the UFC can back 100% to promote the featherweight division. He's taken on the most exciting fighter that the UFC has today in the Korean Zombie. Jung is a fighter that I've been watching since his Sengoku days, and to be honest, and this goes without saying, he's a lot better than before. Or is he? The victory over Garcia was amazing, and I have respect for the Korean Zombie for giving us such an awesome finish. However, I never held Leonard Garcia in high regard, and I felt that his fight with Nam Phan is one of the most overrated fights in MMA history. The Hominick fight proved almost nothing in the sense of his skills. Not to disrespect the power of the Korean Zombie, but this is more similar to Shogun versus Griffin 2, where so little was known about Shogun after that finish. For those that have only seen his UFC fights, Jose Aldo is a very perplexing fighter. He has an amazing highlight reel. I'm talking about something on the level of like Mirko Cro Cop with the amazing stuff that he does inside the cage. It's just that he hasn't really done that in the UFC. A number of injuries have plagued him over the past, 2 or so years. We hear about his jiu-jitsu skills, but we haven't seen it yet in the UFC or the WEC for that matter. His cardio has been an issue, and that was very prevalent in his Frankie Edgar fight. However, the Korean Zombie had a couple of cardio issues in the Dennis Portier fight. I feel that this is similar to the Demetrius Johnson thing I said in the other one of the weight classes, where these smaller weight class fighters, these guys who are on top, have a strange half-life to them. And I don't know whether or not Jose Aldo's already peaked, because he's been out for so long. There's not a lot of footage of him taking on guys from the UFC. However, with them both having similar cardio issues, this being in Brazil, I don't think that the Korean Zombie is going to have the opportunity to get the fight to the ground to land a submission on this guy. I don't think it's going to go to the 4th round. I see Jose Aldo retaining in Brazil. This is a hard fight for me to call because the fighters that I like, Phil Davis and the Korean Zombie, I picked them to lose, unfortunately. In Chan Sung Jung's case, it's not all over for him. He's a very exciting fighter. He's a gateway into Asia for the UFC. And furthermore, there's been a lot of talk for about the past year and a half that Jose Aldo is having harder and harder times cutting his weight. So he may actually move up to lightweight, which would be very exciting. In Phil Davis's case, if he does not pull off the upset, I say quit the UFC immediately. Otherwise, his whole career is going to be plagued by these strange difficulty spikes in his opponents. And he's never ever going to get to that upper echelon for the title contention. He would actually be a lot better in somewhere like Bellator. Tell me what you think about. Check out my one video about the Jake Ellenberger, Roy McDonald aftermath video. Comment, subscribe, share, and take care.
To get my mind right. To get my mind right. I pour a little liquor, take a sip. To get my mind right. To get my mind right. To get my mind right. I get a wet and take a dip. To get our minds right.